All right, let's talk about something I know a lot of you are dealing with. You've got this amazing launch monitor, but are you actually getting better? Today, we're diving into how you can stop just hitting balls and start turning all that data into lower scores out on the course. Let's get right into it. So let me ask you a question and be honest. Do you ever feel kind of stuck? You're at the range, you fire up the TrackMan, you hit ball after ball, but then you get out on the course and it's like nothing's changed. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, trust me, you are definitely not alone.
See, this is what we call the TrackMan trap. It's a super common pitfall where golfers have these incredibly powerful tools, right? But the way they use them just leads to more frustration. You end up just hitting balls, not actually getting better at golf.
And it all comes down to a huge shift in your mindset. You are not at the range to mindlessly grind or to chase some perfect number on a screen. No, your goal is way more specific. You're there to improve one single thing. And then, and this is the most important part, take that one thing with you to the course.
So to do that, you're going to need a new goal. It's a really simple but incredibly powerful shift in how you approach your entire practice session.
And here it is. This is the mantra. This is the foundation for everything. The goal is to practice, transfer, then play. It's a 3-step process. Practice it, transfer it, and then play with it. If you miss one of those steps, the whole thing just kind of falls apart. You gotta do all 3. So how do you actually put that mantra into action? Well, it's all laid out in a really clear 4-stage practice cycle. Think of this as your step-by-step blueprint for turning that range data into real on-course performance. So the cycle has 4 distinct stages. First, you've got tracer mode, where you isolate a skill. Then range mode, where you test it. Next is practice on course, where you transfer it to a real-world setting. And finally, you play, where you learn to trust it. Now, the key here is that every stage has a super specific purpose and, this is huge, an exit rule. You don't just move on when you feel like it. You move on when you've achieved the goal for that stage. All right, let's kick things off with stage 1, tracer mode. For the next 8 to 10 minutes, your entire world shrinks down to one single thing, strike control. That's it. You're just focused on your low point and getting that beautiful, crisp ball first contact. You are not shaping shots, you're not trying to fix your backswing, none of that. You hit a ball, you reset, you hit another. And you don't move on until that strike feels genuinely consistent and repeatable. Okay, once that strike is feeling solid, you move to stage 2. Range mode. This is just a quick 5-minute, 10-ball reality check. The goal here is not to hit it perfectly. It's all about distance awareness. You're just trying to get a feel for your baseline today. What does your normal shot pattern look like? As soon as you see that familiar dispersion, you're good to go. Time to move on. Now, this next step, this is probably the most important transition you're going to make. We are moving from range practice to golf practice. You see, range practice is repetitive, it's mechanical, but golf practice, that's realistic. You never get to hit the same shot twice from the same spot on the course. This is the transfer part of our mantra, and it's a total game changer. So how does this transfer actually work? Well, in stage 3, you're now on the course in your simulator. You drop a ball at your average 7-iron distance, and you hit one shot. Just one. You treat it like it's real, you accept whatever the outcome is, good or bad, and you move on to the next hole. This process forces you to commit, and it starts to build that real-world on-course pressure. And that brings us to stage 4, play. You've done the work, and now the purpose is simple, but absolutely essential: trust and enjoyment. This is where you have to learn to switch off that analytical part of your brain. The rules for play mode are all about letting go. Forget about mechanics, forget about your low point, forget about all the TrackMan numbers. You are no longer practicing, you are playing golf. And that separation is what allows the skills you just worked on to actually show up when it counts, without you having to consciously think about them. So why is this specific 4-stage system so effective? Well, it's not random. It's actually grounded in some pretty simple, powerful science about how our brains learn new skills. And, more importantly, how we make them stick. Let's just break it down real quick. You start by isolating one single skill, that's tracer mode. Then you test it under a little bit of pressure in range mode. Next, and this is crucial, you transfer it to a realistic golf context. And you finish by just playing freely, which lets your subconscious mind take over. This sequence is exactly how deep, lasting learning actually happens. Okay, so you have the blueprint now. The next step is to think about your new practice mission. It's time to turn all this knowledge into real, concrete action. And before we get to that mission, I want you to burn this into your brain. TrackMan is a tool, not a coach. You could have the most expensive, high-tech hammer in the world, but it's totally useless if you don't know how to swing it. The method and the order you do things in matters so much more than the technology itself. So here it is. Here is your mission. For your very next 3 practice sessions, I want you to use this exact 4-stage cycle. Don't tweak it, don't skip any steps, just follow the blueprint, commit to it, and see what happens when you get out on the course.
And that leaves us with one final question. Now that you have this framework, what is the one specific thing you are going to improve in your very next session?